If I were to ever make a video with a thumbnail where it looks like I'm suffering through an intense migraine or, you know what I'm talking about. You always see the thumbnails where somebody's like, oh, looks like they're having the worst day ever. It would definitely be this one. And I don't typically talk about electric vehicles on my channel. It's something that I'm interested in, and I'm very optimistic about the future of electric cars. But they're too volatile for me. And as I mentioned, I don't like talking about things that I wouldn't personally invest in. But when I saw this headline saying that GM and Nikola were partnering together, I had to talk about it because this really caught my interest. So, hoping this is going to be a quick video today, but just wanted to share with you my thoughts and give you a quick overview about this deal with GM and Nikola. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. My name's Matt, and I'm just going to jump right into this. So, if you haven't heard, Nikola and GM have a partnership. Basically, what's happening is GM received about $2 billion worth of stock from Nikola, so giving them about 11% ownership of the company in exchange for the help with producing Nikola's Badger truck. What that means is GM didn't actually have to put out any of their own money for this. They just received the $2 billion again in exchange for the services. And one other thing that got out of this deal, and I don't know who drafted this deal, but they also allowed for GM to be the exclusive supplier of their fuel cells to build these cars. And basically what that means is that not only did GM not have to put any money into this 11% ownership of Nikola, but also they will sell the batteries back to them. So they get the ownership and they'll be getting cash flow from selling them these batteries. So crazy deal. But probably should have started off with this. If you're not familiar with GM, I'm sure most people are. GM is the car manufacturer for very recognizable car names that you see, especially in the US. Those would be companies like GMC, Cadillac, and Buick. And Chevy. Can't forget Chevy. So Nikola is another electric vehicle startup company. Before I say what they do, I want to say batteries are above my pay grade. I don't really fully understand batteries, but if I am following this correctly, and please feel free to correct me in the comments below if I'm not catching this correctly, but it sounds like Nikola is differentiating themselves from Tesla because they don't use lithium-ion batteries like Teslas do. They use a hydrogen fuel cell battery, I think it is. I don't know. I could be wrong there. I'm assuming they would probably do that because it's probably more efficient, maybe gets a wider range, more power, all of that good stuff. So it is a little bit different of a value proposition than what Tesla offers. And they are also focusing on more of a semi-truck business, 18-wheelers, instead of little small, sedans that Tesla creates. They do also have the truck, and that's the one that's been getting all of the attention, the Nikola Badger, which looks like another truck to me. And I can't put my finger on it, but it kind of looks like a Ford Raptor, but just with some bells and whistles on it. And I can see where a lot of people might think it's strange for them to partner with somebody like GM to create this vehicle, given the cars that GM produces. But it is worth noting that GM is no stranger to electric vehicles. They actually produced one of the first electric vehicles on the market back in '96, I believe it was, called the EV1. They also have in production the Chevy Bolt, which that is the ugliest car I think I've ever seen. That thing is uglier than the Nissan Juke. Sorry if anybody drives these cars, but that thing is just not a good looking car at all. So I guess at least GM, again, they're no stranger to electric vehicles, and I guess they have some experience with them. So the partnership there makes some good sense to me. It's not like, I don't know, every car manufacturer is getting into electric vehicles now, so they really could have picked anyone, but admittedly, I am glad that they kept it in the US as opposed to outsourcing for, where they maybe would have been able to get some cheaper supplies. So when I was doing my research for this, I watched a few other people's videos, and I saw a lot of people saying that they think Nikola is the one that got the better end of the stick here. But I actually disagree. I think GM is the one getting the better end of the stick. If they had to pay the $2 billion for this 11% ownership of Nikola, then yeah, I would say Nikola is the one that ended up on top. But since they didn't have to put any money into this, I mean, they will ultimately end up having to put money into this because they're going to have to pay for the labor and the time to produce these, and it's going to take away from their other cars that they produce. So there is going to be some level of investment for GM on this, but it's really like a nothing ventured, nothing gained. You know, they are paying us to produce these for us. If I was GM, this is what I'd be saying. They're paying us to produce these cars, and we get money from them again when we sell them the fuel cells. So for me, it's a win-win for GM. But then that raises the question, why on earth would Nikola offer this deal? So I really didn't want to be bashing Nikola this whole time. I don't really like trash-talking companies a whole lot. I do because it's just kind of part of the job. But I'll save all of my comments about why I don't like this company for the end. But I do have a theory why Nikola created this or offered this deal to GM. And personally, what I believe is I think they realized the challenges that it would take to build a plant to produce these cars. I think they realized that it might not be possible, and it's wishful thinking and really a shot in the dark to be able to produce this. I think they tried to just follow along in Elon Musk's footsteps, but it did not work out well. I do believe that they maybe figured out that making this car might not actually be possible. And if they are unable to produce this car, then it would be the biggest fraud, not the biggest fraud in history, but pretty close to it. So by partnering with a company like GM, if it works, great. If it doesn't work, Nikola does have the ability to pass the blame on to GM and just say, well, we could have produced it, but GM didn't hold up their end of the bargain, or something along those lines, which does mitigate the possibilities of this being a fraud. So that's my thought process. And again, I really think that the only reason they structured the deal this way and made it so enticing for GM to take is because they are allowing for somebody else to take the burden of the failure for them. So my thoughts there. And admittedly, I do hope for GM's sake this works out. GM's been around, it's been a part of the American history for such a long time that you just can't help but hope for GM's sake that this works. But I will say this partnership makes me, GM was never really on my radar, but now they're definitely not on my radar because this is a little bit too risky of an investment for me to get behind. I think electric vehicles, again, they're pretty volatile, and personally, if I'm going to be looking at a electric vehicle investment, I would rather look at like the battery suppliers, maybe the sensor makers for like the self-driving aspects of it, or just some of the other suppliers that are involved with making these electric vehicles, maybe not directly investing in these car companies themselves. But I will say, Nikola has never, ever, ever been on my radar as a company to invest in because, well, that's what I'm about to get into. So I'll just say that if you want to leave, if you're done with this video, you can turn it off if you want, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But if you want to hear me rant about a company, stay tuned. So what do I not like about Nikola? Well, first off, the name. You really can't get much more unoriginal with an electric car vehicle naming it Nikola. If you don't know why I'm saying that, because the person, Tesla, is named after Nikola Tesla. And obviously, Tesla makes an electric vehicle. So they literally just took this guy's first name and named their company after it. There could have been so many other people that you could have chosen to name this company after. Instead, you just take the first name from, the name of somebody whose last name is already a car company. Really, I don't think they put much thought into that name whatsoever. Maybe it was to get attention and to bother people like me. I don't know. But I just think that they really could have come up with a different name than what they did. I also don't buy into the hype. I don't buy into hypes for any companies because that's where we see that the volatility comes about and that's where issues get created if you start investing in hype. And this is a company with a $12 billion market cap. But it's a company with a $12 billion market cap that has not and might not ever produce anything. So I don't understand how they have such a high valuation or how they have such a high market cap, but they haven't produced anything. And admittedly, yeah, a lot of that does have to do, and I hate to say it has to do with day traders and short-term swings, momentum, and volatility, because obviously, HFTs are going to drive up the price of this, high-frequency traders, and that is exactly what happened. Very similar to what happened with Tesla, I will admit that, but it just doesn't make sense that this company has such a high market cap, but they haven't produced anything and have shown really no signs of producing anything until this deal. I also have a problem that the founder, Trevor Milton, is selling off his shares frequently. The company just went public earlier this year, I believe, and they haven't produced anything. So he is the founder of this company selling off his own shares, which to me indicates that he either knows this isn't going to work, doesn't believe it's going to work, or is bearish on his own company. So it makes no sense that he's selling off these shares. I do personally believe he used this company as a way to become a billionaire and might not have ever actually had intentions of creating this car. And this is more or less just a pet peeve, but I don't like them saying that the entire executive team is taking a $1 salary, because that's how it makes them more engaged as a company or produces a better product. I don't mind when CEOs take the $1 salary. You know, Jack Dorsey did it, Mark Zuckerberg did it, I think Elon Musk has done it before, but that's the CEO. The whole executive team taking a $1 salary has nothing to do with the creating camaraderie, whatever, amongst the team. It absolutely has to do with the fact that this company is blowing millions and millions of dollars every single quarter. And honestly, they probably can't afford to pay the executives, so that's why everybody took the $1 salary. And lastly, don't try to out Elon Musk. Many people have said that before. I fully agree with it. Elon Musk is just a freak of nature. He's done a lot of stuff with a lot of doubt, and for that we always have to pat him on the back, because he's remained humble during these, creating like the first successful electric vehicle, building his own company. He didn't need to partner with a GM to build those Teslas. He also landed the first, had the first like reusable rocket. He's building tunnels to send cars through. You can't keep up with Elon Musk, and I really don't think there's any effort in trying. The guy already released all of his patents for Tesla, so anybody has the ability to use his kind of battery system for their cars. And so, I mean, if a car company wanted to create an electric vehicle, I don't see a problem with using his patents to get started, and then you can kind of figure out your own niche, but at least that way you're creating cars, not dreams. So anyway, I don't like this deal. I've never really liked Nikola, and I really hope they change their name. Honestly, what I hope ends up happening is that this does work out for GM's sake, and I hope GM just takes over Nikola and adds it to their line next with, Cadillac and Chevy. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Again, hope you enjoyed this video. Just a quick video today. It's Friday and looks pretty nice outside, so I've got to go spend some time outside today. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. You could be anywhere in the world, and you're right here with me, and I really appreciate that. If you haven't already, I just hope that you like this video, consider subscribing, and leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts on this company. Also in the description is a link for my real estate site if you want to buy a house in the Charlotte area, as well as a free stock for Robinhood. That was a mouthful. I will see you next time.